Good morning. It feels good to be making videos once again. And really, I just wasn't feeling motivated to make new videos. I didn't really have a lot going on. Nothing really fun to show, but especially with all the editing that I like to try and do with these videos. But still making shorts, obviously, with the fitness stuff and showing off some of the fun life things I was doing, like the living statue, a little bit of behind the scenes modeling stuff every now and again. But really it was just trying to get the motivation to make new videos, because they do take a little bit of time, because I do them all 100% myself. I do the editing, I do the recording, obviously, and nothing's scripted. I mean, most fitness vlogs aren't scripted anyway. And plus, I wanted to make sure I was having fun things to talk about on my end of day wrap up, and that was just kind of something I wasn't really finding so much to talk about. Now that, there's a new Starship Troopers game that came out, Chuck Norris passed away. That's not a fun thing, obviously, but talking about his legacy is something that's interesting to discuss, I believe. But I'm not going to talk about that today. That I'm going to save for another day. Today, I think, for my end of day conversation, I'm going to talk about the Starship Troopers game that just came out, Starship Troopers Ultimate Bug War. Real quick, I did have a lot of fun playing that game. I did just beat it. I even like the arachnid levels. But today is going to be back day. I'm wearing my back day shirt, and as everyone knows, back day is my favorite day because I like getting the wide back. And yeah, just training my pull-ups more, because I want to make sure my pull-up game is on point, because as C-Bum said, lat pull-downs and pull-ups aren't the same thing. They activate kind of the same muscles, but pull-ups are definitely a skill, and lat pull-downs are an entirely different thing. Both very beneficial, but I think pull-ups are the way to go. So, in the meantime, my friends, made my pre-workout, just gonna vibe a little bit, because I'm on vacation right now, I don't have anywhere to be. Vibe a little bit, watch some of the news maybe, because I want to be depressed, and then start heading out to the gym. Like I said, it's back day, should be fun. Anyways, I'll catch you guys in a bit. Okay, I'm outside the gym now, and one thing that we do talk about a lot here in Pennsylvania is that we do get all 4 seasons, but they can tend to happen in the exact same day. Like when I woke up this morning around like 6 a.m., the sun actually was starting to shine pretty well. But as you can see, it's already pretty gray out and it's a little bit chilly. Yesterday, the sun was out, but it was cold too. And throughout most of the weekend, this weekend was gorgeous, but I had to work a lot of the weekend during my side job. And it sucks having to miss it out. Sunday was good though. I didn't have to do much on Sunday outside of church, and obviously I like going to church. But I'm hoping this spring is a little bit more solid than it was last year, because last year it was just a lot of rain, and I really wasn't digging it. And I think people are I forgot we're on spring break, and people are coming home for college right now, and the gym looks pretty packed. This is gonna be fun to deal with. A lot of the stuff's gonna be crowded, and I guess I don't mind a crowded gym. I work around things. It's not that hard for me to do. The only thing, it's just like people like to claim multiple machines for supersets during busy hours. It's like, yeah, don't do that. Like, I don't mind if you want a superset, but don't try and claim multiple machines for it, because I superset every now and again too. But if someone comes up and wants your additional piece of equipment, I'm sorry, but this is a gym, this is a public space, it's not your own private gym, you have to surrender it. I go by the philosophy of, if I'm not on it, then I'm not using it. So, I mean, unless I'm just right there and I'm doing like my mid-workout stretches, then that's when I'm kind of like, hey, I'm still on this. But of course, keep in mind, I'll happily be like, hey, you want to work in, because there's nothing wrong with that, especially during busy hours. Someone needs a machine and they want to work in, that's absolutely fine. But yeah, don't try and claim multiple machines during supersets during busy hours. Maybe in off hours when the gym's kind of dead, but then you really don't need to claim it anyway. But just proper gym etiquette. Originally, I was going to talk more about proper gym etiquette, but then I decided to have a discussion about properly training the relationship with Jesus Christ. Now, what do I mean by that? Of course, we all have potential to be saved, and, I've gotten baptized, I go to church every Sunday and Monday, but I realized lately there's much more to it than that. And I'm not just only talking about walking in the footsteps of Jesus, but you have to train your spirit like you would train your body. We discipline our workout routines and things like that, but how much do we truly train our spirit to properly walk with the Lord every day? Because really, we have to treat our spirit like a muscle. If we don't, then we're going to lose track of progress. We can potentially lose our walk with Christ. We'll lose him on this narrow path. And is that what we want? No, of course not. So I think it's important as Christians to remember that while we might be saved, we might be baptized, we might go to church once a week, is that really enough for us to make sure that we have a good relationship with our Lord? A little bit of this is me telling on myself, obviously, but I honestly don't think that going to church once or twice a week is enough. I think training the spirit like you would your body, like you would on a diet, is the most effective way to make sure that your relationship with Christ is never faltering. Now, of course, this is much easier said than done, and we know God understands that. We all are stuck on this fallen planet working 9-to-5 jobs, 40 hours a week, sometimes more, especially with my weekend job. But it doesn't change the fact that we do need to stop and embrace Christ much more often than I think a lot of us do. That's why he calls us to take a Sabbath. Now, of course, we're supposed to have a whole Sabbath day, but I think it's also important to take a Sabbath daily with the Lord. And what does that mean? How do we do that? And of course, all of this is easier said than done, because taking a Sabbath daily and not just one full day for Christ is not just as easy as, picking up a piece of food, putting it in your mouth and chewing on it. It will take time. It will take energy because, when we're working all these hours every week, we want to just come home, relax, watch TV, play video games, read a book, listen to music, go to the gym. But we have to embrace Christ much more often because he loves us. And if we're not willing to show equal love to him as much as he loves us every day, then are we really following with him? Are we really? And again, a lot of this is me just telling on myself, because this is something I've been struggling with the last couple months, especially because, like I said, I have a weekend job. I haven't been going to church as much as I should be, but there's no excuse. If Christ is willing to sacrifice so much for us, then I should be willing to sacrifice for him. Every day, not just on Sunday, not just on Monday, but every chance I get every day now, I'm going to make sure there's at least an hour minimum for the Lord. And we are back home from the gym now. I made my post-workout snack, just some yogurt with vanilla protein and some powdered peanut butter. And it's my favorite post-workout snack. So I guess what I'm going to do now is eat this and then figure out what I want to do for the rest of the day. There's not really much going on. One part of me wants to see a movie. What time is it? Other part of me just wants to kind of vibe. I don't know, we'll see. But either way, I do know I have to go out and get more apples because I only have one left. And I don't know, maybe hit up a used bookstore if that place is even still open. But we shall see. Anyways, let me eat my post-workout snackaroonie, which I'll probably inhale in like 2 seconds. and go about the day and see what's happening. I know I'm doing laundry. That much I know I'm indeed doing because my laundry basket was full. Peace. So I decided to hit up the used bookstore because, I just kind of wanted to see what they had. At first I stopped at Home Depot to get some dishwashing detergent, but had to look at some books, and their history section has a lot of World War II stuff. Like, I'm kind of impressed with how many World War II books there actually are. And behind there were some books about films, movies, TV shows, things like that. Nothing that I had much interest in, but it's cool to know they're there if I ever had a curiosity about Sherlock Holmes. And of course, the section I wanted was the science fiction section because I wanted to see if they had a rough travel copy I can use for Starship Troopers because I never want mine to get damaged, but unfortunately they didn't have that. I did find a copy of Wicked though, and I love the movie and the musical, so figured I'd give this a grab, see what the book is like. I know it's a little bit more disturbing, and obviously I had to get this copy of The Hobbit. This is actually the copy my dad read to me when I was a little kid. And yep, these are the 3 books I got. One was Robert Heinlein, and the grocery store was right next to it, so I finally grabbed my apples. And now I am back home from the book and grocery store. I also stopped up at Home Depot, and because they were having these on sale, figured we can use more of those. But got the, I can't pronounce that. It's a Robert Heinlein book, and as you know, he wrote Starship Troopers, which is my favorite book of all time, so the more I read of him, the better. Obviously, this copy of The Hobbit from The Lord of the Rings. This is the copy my parents read to me when I was a really, really small kid. Not this exact copy, but it's this print. And I'm happy to read it now that I'm older, see how much I remember. And obviously Wicked because I'm a fan of the musical. Now, at the grocery store, I got more than the apples. I also got a kombucha because you need that for your digestion. And also some lunch meat. And I got myself a little treat in a peanut butter and jelly donut, and tasted really good, but I ate that already. So, right now I gotta finish with the laundry and just hang those up. And later on, gotta recharge the camera, do my review and impressions of Starship Troopers Ultimate Bug War, which is a lot of fun and I can't wait to talk about it. So let's get excited for that. Is it the Poultrygeist of modern boomer shooters? Kind of, maybe. I enjoy it, if that means anything. But anyways, I gotta get this stuff taken care of first, so I'll catch you guys a little bit later. Peace. And now it is finally dark out, and now I'm gonna discuss my thoughts and feelings of Starship Troopers Ultimate Bug War. Now, as it should be obvious, I love Starship Troopers. It's literally my favorite book of all time. Got the movie, Roughneck Starship Troopers Chronicles, as well as the anime movies. And one thing I would really love to find one day is the very rare Laserdisc of the Starship Troopers anime from the 80s, as well as a first edition copy of the novel. That'd be something, if I ever do get my hands on it, I would put it in a safe and lock it away so that way it didn't get damaged. But like I said, Starship Troopers is just about probably my favorite thing. So when I heard that they were going to make a Starship Troopers game, I was excited. I didn't get a chance to play Starship Troopers Extraction because it's multiplayer only and I don't have PlayStation Plus. But it seemed like it was a pretty fun game, and trailers started coming out. And obviously, I was like, oh, this is kind of PS1 looking first-person shooter. It's pretty good. Yeah, it's not a full-priced game or anything like that. It only hits about like $25. So it's not that expensive to even grab a copy of it.
at least on the PlayStation Store, because it is digital only. But what are my overall thoughts on it, outside of it being pretty good? Now, I've been basically obsessed with Starship Troopers since I was a kid. And the story they have in this game the entire story of the game is, it's basically you're playing an actual video game within the canon of the Starship Troopers movie universe. And the cutscenes are all with the news broadcasting propaganda sections of the movie, the would you like to know more parts. And I wish they weren't in the game. Now let me explain why. Casper Van Dien clearly loves it. He loves Starship Troopers. He loves being a part of Starship Troopers. It's his most well-known role. So he's obviously having fun, but the issue I have with the broadcasting segments is it feels more like a parody, not the satire parody that the first movie was supposed to be, but it feels like it's a parody of the movie in and of itself with how exaggerated everything is. Because it's still in the first movie, even during the news broadcast moments, they were still overall pretty level, but everything is like thrown up to the absolute extreme that I no longer feel like I'm playing something within the Starship Troopers world as much as I am playing someone who's trying to parody the first movie. And the first movie is already a satire of the book in and of itself. So when they took that to the next level, it doesn't feel as natural to the Starship Troopers world as the first movie did. And one thing that is kind of interesting is that these movies are now absolutely canon to the Starship Troopers universe because Johnny has his eye patch. So they are considering all this connected, but you're not playing in the power armor, there's no Marauder suits, and that's because you're not really playing a game during or after the Traitor of Mars movie. You're basically replaying the first movie from someone else's perspective. Now, by doing that, they permit us to fight newer bugs, have weapons from all the different movies, which is pretty cool because I was playing the game and got the big plasma rifle, and I was like, oh, that's the one from the end of Starship Troopers 2. And they had that in it. They had the Morda from Starship Troopers 3, but they didn't have the Marauder suits from Starship Troopers 3. They did have a thing called an M7 Razorback, which I think is supposed to be the proto version of it, but that was never even brought up in any other of the films anyway. It's still a cool thing to ride around in. I had a lot of fun using it because it has a chainsaw and a machine gun. And using both of those to kill the bugs is a lot of fun. I wish you got more chance to use it because normally when it pops up, it's after all the action already happened. It's better used in a higher difficulty because and you're playing the game on lower difficulty, your guns are going to basically wipe out most of the bugs in like that. But when you actually put up to trooper or civilian, the bugs can actually take a beating. The bugs actually feel like sort of like how remember the Clendathu drop in the first film, or as I could call it, Operation Bughouse, because that's what's called in the book. They're shooting at the bugs, but the bugs seem like not affected by them at all. And that's kind of what civilian feels like when you're dropping into Clendathu. You're charging in, you're shooting the bugs. They do eventually obviously die, but they do require a lot of bullets to take down. And when you use the Razorback, that helps a little bit more. Now, the Razorback isn't completely indestructible, obviously, and if it starts to weaken too much, you take too much damage, it blows up. Which at first I was like, this is kind of silly, but it is actually pretty fun to be using it, being like, oh crap, I'm about to die, bail out, dart away, and then you just blow up a bunch of bugs. There was actually one moment where I already killed all the bugs, but then it started to count down to being destroyed. I was like, okay, I got my troopers around me. I'm going to move over here so that way they don't get blown up. I moved it around, got out, ran away, and all the troopers went right behind it and blew up with the machine. And if you kill your other troopers in the game doesn't care. They'll sometimes just blatantly run in front of you. And overall, the shooting is a lot of fun. You're killing the bugs from Starship Troopers. that is always fun. And yes, you can hop on a tanker, shoot the back of it, open a hole, and throw a grenade in it and jump off like Johnny did in the first movie. If they didn't do that, everyone would be like, should this game even exist? I mean, that was so cool to figure out. There's a trophy or achievement for it, too. But again, I think when just playing the trooper segments, or the human levels as they call it, it's a lot of fun. But with how cartoonishly over the top the story segments are, it's just a little distracting, and that kind of took me out of the game a little bit. And I think a lot of that has to do with, sometimes I think writers confuse satire and parody, but also because of how popular Helldivers is. I know that influenced that. And the movies did progressively become more and more over the top with the Federation propaganda. But there's things people will say in the game that no one said in the movies. Like you'll hear people yelling for the Federation and things like that. I'm just like, you're okay. I know these are the same people that made Warhammer 40 game Bolt Gun, because that's something that for the Emperor, for the Federation, it's like in Warhammer 40k anime itself, it's blatantly inspired by the book Starship Troopers. So it's like you're getting this fusion of all these things that are inspired by, the OG, and the references and writing styles of everything else kind of colliding into one thing. And that can kind of get a little bit distracting, especially if you're a dork like me, whose favorite thing on planet Earth is basically just Starship Troopers. And there's references to each movie, but there's no reference to the book in the game. At least not that I noticed. And before you say anything, I read this book once a year, so trust me, I would notice. And I wish there were more. Like, I wish they would have had a level where you're actually in the power armor, like something out of one of the anime films. Because I really think that'd be cool. There's not a lot of games where you get to straight up play in a suit of power armor. I mean, I know there's Halo, there was Anthem, Warhammer 40k. Even like if it didn't do much, I just think the visual of seeing a trooper in the suit of armor or the ape suit would have been awesome. Even Starship Troopers Extermination, those are now bringing in the Marauder suits. And I will appreciate that the writers of the game, while I appreciate the writing, but I don't love all the writing. They have quotes from almost every movie. Murderers don't get to go home. How many people have seen the second Starship Troopers movie? That's the last quote from the second movie. Not how many people know there's a second movie? How many people know there's a third movie? So the fact that I was like, oh hey, I know where this is from, I know where this is from, I know where this is from. Stuff like that's written in because these people are clearly fans of the series. I just wish that they didn't confuse parody for satire, because this no longer feels like a satire like the first movie did. This feels like a parody of the movie. And that's my ultimate issue with some of the writing. And when you watch these segments, like they're kind of like deadpan over the top. You'd have to see the cutscenes to see what I mean. They're kind of acted out in a way, kind of like an MST3K skit, which is fun. I love MST3K. That and Red Dwarf are like, they both fight for what my favorite TV show of all time is. Red Dwarf, MST3K, they're both at each other's necks. So when I say that, it's not a complete insult, but it doesn't feel as in line with what Starship Troopers. I'm going 1000% off the movie lore here, movies lore, not the books. It's not completely in line with how those propaganda scenes are. And I honestly think because the actual story writing from when you're actually in these Sammy sections is actually pretty good. Like they sound scared, they sound horrified. When the brain bug shows up, it's actually kind of creepy. So those sections in there, they work. It's just the news broadcast that, again, it's so distractingly goofy that it just takes me kind of out of it. And there's also bug sections where you get to play as a bug. It's a new bug known as the assassin bug. The assassin bug has not been in any of the movies, which is wild because there is literally a god bug in Starship Troopers 3, and then there's the queen bug in Starship Troopers Invasion. So, the assassin bug, you can just put in the lore that they added it into in the lore of the game. They added it into their game, so that way it could just spread more. Like, oh, there's also the secret deadly bug that has the abilities of the warrior, the tanker, and the hopper. And by the way, whenever a tanker shows up, I absolutely yelled, "Tanker!" every time it popped up before I hopped on its back and shot a hole in it through a grenade it, which is the easiest way to kill the thing, by the way, if you're not getting hounded by a bunch of warrior bugs. But the assassin bug, it basically feels like you're playing Rampage in 3D, but you're using a bug that can be a warrior, tanker, and hopper. Because not an assassin, like it's a stealth bug. That would be really cool. Because when I heard there was an assassin bug, I thought it was going to be like the control bug, or if you've ever, where you like kind of sneak around and hop in and then just take someone out. No, it's just the ultimate bug. And some people, I saw some people say, why not just let you play as the warrior bug? Because everyone knows that everyone will want to play as like the main 3 bugs from the first movie: warrior, tanker, hopper, and brain bug. But the brain bug really doesn't have a lot of combat abilities. In the game, though, you do get to fight the brain. Spoilers. And he can like teleport around and things like that. That thing can't do that in the movie, because that would have made the ending of the first movie kind of impossible. If it could just easily teleport to another thing. But again, it's a propaganda game, not really like a real lore game. So I thought that was pretty cool, being able to fight the brain bug. And the game can get kind of hard, in so much that they just love throwing a bunch of enemies at you at once. And if you're playing it on a lower difficulty, like when it comes to like civilian or recruit, it's not that bad. But once you start getting into trooper, and especially citizen, they take a lot of hits. And when you have that many of them swarming at you, this is where a multiplayer mode could have been very beneficial for the higher difficulties, where you and your friend, you got a bunch of bugs crowding on you and you're running out of ammo, but they can still get a few shots off and helping you throw something for a supply resource. That was a missed opportunity to add in a multiplayer mode. But outside of that, though, the game is really fun. It's fun shooting bugs. That's why people love Helldivers. That's why people liked Halo. Halo didn't really have bugs in it, but you're still like shooting like these weird, almost ant-like creatures. That's why people are overall enjoying Starship Troopers Extermination. That's why some people really like Star Fox Assault, which is definitely, it's been more, I'd say that's more inspired by the movie than the book. Starship Troopers inspired so much stuff over the years, it's insane. Like, you can make like an entire diagram of what Starship Troopers was a big part of it, up into including the highest grossing movies of all time, Avatar, but the one with the blue people, obviously. So Starship Troopers, man, it is really just one of the most important pieces of science fiction out there. And this game is a lot of fun. I did love playing it. But I don't know how much I'm going to go back to it after I wrapped it all up at 100%. I think there is a truly great Starship Troopers game out there. And I think the people that made RoboCop Rogue City and Terminator Resistance, I think that's what the game is called, I think they would do a fantastic job at making a single-player adventure Starship Troopers game. And I prefer it where it's more based on the book than the movie. More so because I believe I just want to fight in the power armor than anything else. It can still take place in the movie's like world, but I would also like a game where I'm fighting the bugs from the book too, because the bugs in the book, they're like a madman's concept of a giant intelligent spider that can shoot guns at you. I would really like to see that in the video game. I know there's Warhammer 40K and Space Marine 2. But this game is overall pretty cool. I do recommend it. It's not full price. It's only like $25. You get a lot out of it, especially if you're a Starship Troopers fan like I am. The only thing, like I said, is the propaganda segments are a little too over the top, a little too exaggerated. The actual story moments that are in the gameplay are overall actually really solid, and I wish it stuck more to that. But outside of that, though, the game is solid. It's great. And it's so much fun to just kind of go around shooting bugs. And even I didn't really talk about the bug moments when you're playing as the bug. They're pretty fun. Like I said, it feels like you're playing in a 3D version of the game Rampage. And I liked it. It's not as good as the shooting moments. I know a lot of reviewers did not like the arachnid moments at all, which one thing I think is funny, they call the bugs arachnids in the movie, but not a single one of them is an actual arachnid. Maybe the carrier is, but how often did you actually see that? Give it a play. Give it a try. Like I said, I had a lot of fun with it. It's not too expensive. Maybe if you want to wait for it to go on one of their sales, that's fine too. Will it matter? Because it's an entirely different experience from Helldivers 2. Helldivers 2 is this multiplayer co-op game. And I mean, if you want to see where Helldivers got its inspiration, obviously read the book, watch the movie, watch Roughnecks, and then play this game. Because I think that'll help people who don't know much about Starship Troopers. Obviously, it'll get them into more of the lore, but it'll help them enjoy what is presented a lot more. Anyways, like I said, I really enjoyed the game. I got day of release. I am going to get the Platinum Trophy on it. Will I play it more after that? Probably not. But here's hoping it sets the standard for more Starship Troopers game in the future, because for something that is as influential as that book is, seeing how little genuine video games are based on it, it's kind of surreal, especially since a lot of the big time action movies never really got a lot of video games based on them, and that was just something I was just kind of casually thinking about one day. Anyways, definitely give Starship Troopers Ultimate Bug War a try. It gets a huge recommendation from me. Not a full price game. I'm repeating myself now. So let me wrap this up and have a good night.